Want to know what's going on in our community? Thanks for joining us on Consider the Source, where we will highlight the biggest stories from this week and hear more from our reporters bringing you the coverage. Remember, the Source is online all the time, and you can find us at stthomassource.com, stcroixsource.com, and stjohnsource.com. I'm your host, Adisha Penn, and we thank you for joining us back after a short summer break. Along with the news, we were excited to sit down this week with a team from the University of the Virgin Islands who shared more about some of the exciting developments they're making in the world of mangrove research. But first, let's get to the headlines. An online petition is calling on the Biden-Harris administration to reject the insular cases after the U.S. Supreme Court granted the U.S. Justice Department additional time to decide whether it will support or oppose calls to overrule the series of racist decisions from the turn of the 19th century in a case that could be heard this fall. The Justice Department now has until August 29th to respond to the petition for review in Fitzsimonu versus the United States. The case about birthright citizenship in U.S. territories asks the Supreme Court in part whether the insular cases should be overruled. The insular cases are the series of century-old racist decisions that established a colonial framework of separate and unequal status for people living in U.S. territories. As a result, residents of the 5 U.S. territories today continue to be treated like second-class citizens, while at the same time being denied their right to self-determination and decolonization, according to a press release from the nonprofit Equally American. This means being denied equality in federal social safety net programs like supplemental security income, Medicaid, and SNAP, while at the same time lacking any vote in the federal laws they must follow. 23 members of Congress, including VI Delegate Stacey Plaskett, also wrote to President Joe Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris, urging them to reject the insular cases and the racist colonial framework they invented, according to Equally American. A dozen civil rights groups have also called on the Justice Department to reject the insular cases and the racist assumptions they represent, the organization said. According to Government House, the White House has approved Governor Albert Bryan Jr.'s request for federal support to help prevent the St. Croix water plant from being overwhelmed by the large influx of sargassum seaweed. The seaweed has been threatening to disrupt normal water production there. The scope of the federal declaration is reportedly limited to actions taken by the federal government at the request of the territory to protect the offshore water intake operations in Estate Richmond so it can continue operating at normal levels. Bryan is asking St. Croix residents and businesses to conserve water as they can, but said water production currently is at normal levels and there is no threat to public health at this time. Planning and Natural Resources Commissioner Jean-Pierre Oriol, who is overseeing the cooperative efforts with the Federal Emergency Management Agency at the St. Croix water plant, said the stench from the decay of the sargassum that has accumulated along VI shores comes from hydrogen sulfide, which creates a rotten egg smell similar to that resulting from a ruptured sewer pipe. Meanwhile, the Department of Licensing and Consumer Affairs has clarified that while current sargassum-related state of emergency is in effect territory-wide, the price freeze currently in place for water products and services applies only to St. Croix. The USVI Department of Tourism is returning to the Made in America Festival for the second year on September 3rd to the 4th as the sole destination sponsor. Made in America began in 2012, organized by Rock Nation founder, chairman, entrepreneur, and artist Jay-Z, and continues to be a cornerstone of Philadelphia's lively festival scene. This year's annual event will be headlined by Bad Bunny and Tyler the Creator, bringing live music, food, and a celebration of local social causes like Black Voters Matter, Head Count, ACCT Philly, Animal Welfare, United in Community, and more. According to tourism, festival goers can expect a unique USVI cultural experience in Philadelphia. Single-day tickets to the weekend-long event are now available for purchase on madeinamerica.frontgatetickets.com. According to Tourism Commissioner Joseph Bushalte, the partnership is part of the territory's commitment to reaching more diverse visitors and helps position the USVI as a favorable destination in this East Coast market. Stephen Adams, the president and CEO of VINGN, the Virgin Islands Next Generation Network, told senators this week of his plans to bring Wi-Fi to parks, ports, schools, hospitals, beaches, public housing, shopping districts, community centers, government offices, and street corners. The VINGN operates a federally funded fiber optic network in the territory and is wholly owned by the VI government. During a meeting this week of the Senate's Committee on Housing, Transportation, and Telecommunications, Adams said digitally unserved and underserved U.S. Virgin Islanders could benefit from the Broadband Equity, Access, and Deployment Program, the Digital Equity Act Program, the Middle Mile Broadband Infrastructure Program, and the American Rescue Plan Act for public Wi-Fi and broadband service in their homes, Adams said. The USVI Broadband Office has developed a strategic framework that has helped the goals and objectives of the Biden-Harris administration's Internet for All program. This strategy integrates Governor Albert Bryan's Wi-Fi for All initiative funded through other federal grants awarded to VINGN. The first is for free Wi-Fi deployment throughout the territory under a $582,000 CARES Act grant for distance learning. The second is a pending $10.8 million ARPA grant to deploy Wi-Fi in support of telemedicine. Both initiatives have a secondary purpose of providing general community Wi-Fi, Adams said. Currently, VINGN has 176 hotspots, but at the end of the program anticipates more than 1,000. The VI government is adding 23 electric Teslas to its fleet, a purchase that officials said will yield significant savings at the pump as fuel costs continue to rise and create new opportunities for energy diversification for the general public with the addition of solar charging centers and potential rebates for those looking to purchase greener vehicles. Of the $2 million in U.S. Interior Department Energizing Insular Communities funds awarded to the territory, approximately $1.35 million was used to buy the new base-level Tesla Model Ys and Model 3s, which are being rolled out across multiple departments and agencies, including 8 that have been assigned to the VI Water and Power Authority and 15 to the central government fleet, according to a news release. The remaining funding can be used to support assets for charging the vehicles, which VI Energy Office Director Kyle Fleming said could range from public charging stations to on-site solar arrays. Energizing Insular Communities funds support energy strategies that reduce the general cost of electrical and dependence on fossil fuels, according to the DOI. 3 St. Croix men were shot to death as they left work Tuesday night, police said during a press conference this week as they pleaded with witnesses in the area for information. Adeli Dehile, 28, Angel Diaz, 60, and Mohammed Assad, 41, were leaving the smoke shop across the street from the Gas City gas station in La Grande Princess around 9:10 p.m. Tuesday, when yet unknown assailants struck, police said. Police said the investigation has so far revealed that the men exited the smoke shop, closed it up, and were outside when a vehicle passed and stopped. The occupants approached the men and opened fire, striking and killing them almost instantaneously on the scene, according to the police department chief detective Lieutenant Naomi Joseph. Joseph asked business owners, residents, and anyone else with a security camera in the area, including up the road, to provide any footage they may have between 8:30 and 10 p.m. Police want to track the vehicle to and from the La Grande Princess area. The homicides are the 13th, 14th, and 15th on St. Croix this year, bringing the territory's 2022 total to 21. With a swearing-in ceremony Monday, the 34th legislature's recently vacated senator-at-large seat was officially filled by Angel Bolkes Jr., chosen as the successor to former Senator Stephen Payne Sr., who was ousted by a vote of 14-1 on July 20th. Bolkes, an elected member of the Board of Education and candidate for the same seat in the 35th legislature, took the oath of office Monday afternoon with Superior Court Judge Kathleen McKay administering the oath. Shortly before the new lawmaker was inducted, Election Supervisor Caroline Fox addressed a gathering in the Senate chambers on St. Thomas, explaining the process by which the Democratic Party's Territorial Committee chose Bolkes to fill the vacant seat and the statute that allowed that process to take place. The supervisor declared that after reviewing the process, Bolkes was qualified to serve. Senate President Donna Fred Gregory said the replacement was made quickly because the post of Senator-at-Large was a territorial office. To leave it vacant for too long would leave the island of St. John without its share of representation, she said. The new senator's term as of Monday expires at the end of the second week of January 2023. That's when the 34th legislature ends in advance of the start of the 35th legislature. Those who win seats in the new Senate session in the general election traditionally take their oaths of office at the start of the third week in January. Senators present at the swearing-in ceremony included Fred Gregory, Marvin A. Blyden, Milton E. Potter, Janelle K. Sorrow, Carla J. Joseph, and Genevieve R. Whitaker.
And impartially discharge the duties of Senator of the 34th Legislature of the United States Virgin Islands. The duties of Senator. With fidelity. So help me God. Congratulations.
Justin Matthews' bid to have his murder trial moved out of the territory and his confession to the police suppressed is ludicrous, the Attorney General office argued in its response filed in VI Superior Court. Matthews is charged with first-degree murder and 10 other counts on the September 4th shooting death of Keona Barron, 20, as she waited for a ride outside Home Depot on St. Thomas following her shift at the store. He has pleaded not guilty and is being held on a $200,000 cash bail. Territorial Public Defender Julie S. Todman last week filed a motion to suppress Matthews' statement to police, alleging that his confession was coerced by officers who threatened to hurt his elderly grandmother if he did not admit to the crime. A second motion requests a change of venue due to widespread media coverage of the case. The Attorney General's office opposed both requests in its response filed Wednesday, saying that regarding Matthews' purported confession, there is no evidence that it was coerced or obtained improperly. As for publicity surrounding the case necessitating a change of venue out of the country, the government called that a ludicrous contention that also would place an undue burden on the prosecution, as well as the 30 to 40 witnesses it plans to call, most of whom live and work on St. Thomas, it said. The court has not yet ruled on the motions. Currently, jury selection in the case is set to begin at 9:00 a.m. on January 18, 2023 in Courtroom 3 of the Alexander Farrelly Justice Complex on St. Thomas. William Bill Bolke of St. Croix Bolke International Airways will be presented with an award for more than 60 years of service and contributions to the aviation industry from the National Air Transportation Association in November. Timothy Obitz, National Air Transportation Association President and CEO, said this week that Captain Bolke's roots in developing and fostering aviation in the U.S. Virgin Islands runs deep. A lifelong aviator, education, and industry advocate, Bulkey has always leveraged his skills and resources to prioritize the safety, viability, and welfare of his community, demonstrating firsthand the immense value of aviation businesses. Bulkey Aviation was started by William Bulkey Sr. in 1959, and his son Bill joined the business when he was 16 years old. The elder Bulkey started a cargo airline in 1968 and the commuter airline Eastern Caribbean Airways in 1970. By 1972, the company expanded to offer sightseeing tours and a flight school. Bulkey International Airways was officially formed in 1984. In 2005, after 37 years with American Airlines, Bill retired and returned to St. Croix and his father's company. Over the years, Bulkey, in addition to piloting, started and ran the first and only Federal Aviation Administration and Veterans Administration approved flight school in the U.S. Virgin Islands. He has served as the Federal Aviation Safety Counselor for the territory, helped start the St. Croix chapter of the Tuskegee Airmen, and served on several national boards. Last week, 30 Virgin Islands Water and Power Authority WAPA employees graduated from a rigorous 3-year Power Line Workers Apprenticeship program to become fully certified electrical line workers. The program, certified by the U.S. Department of Labor, is designed to enhance the knowledge and skills of utility employees in this field, said Electric Cities of Georgia, the nonprofit organization that has provided strategic and technical training over the last 3 years to authority employees. WAPA's Director of Transmission and Distribution, Ashley Bryan, said the program allows existing employees to expand their skill set through the utilization of industry best practices and safety standards and equips them with the knowledge to perform their work safely. On St. Thomas, a collaboration with the University of the Virgin Islands provided the use of the Ryko Center for the Arts grounds to conduct training, while on St. Croix, the Agricultural Fairgrounds served as the primary training space. More news coming up. In election 2022 coverage, early voting continues throughout the district until Monday, August 1st. After the first week of the 2022 primary election early voting, Supervisor of Elections Carolyn F. Fox announced a record number of early voters have cast their ballots to date. Early voting hours are from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. on St. Thomas and St. Croix. On St. John, early voting begins at 9 a.m. and closes at 4 p.m. The early voting locations are the District of St. Croix Elections Office at Sunny Isles Shopping Center, Unit 26, the District of St. Croix at St. Joseph Church Hospitality Lounge, the Charlotte Amalia High School Gymnasium on St. Thomas, the Tutu Park Mall on St. Thomas, formerly Scotia Bank location, and on St. John, the Julia Sproul Elementary School cafeteria. Meanwhile, the VI Board of Elections announced changes to the locations of the 2022 primary election voting centers territory-wide. Supervisor of Elections Carolyn Fox said, due to unforeseen maintenance issues at the Bertha C. Bushelte Middle School on St. Thomas and the Claude O. Marco Elementary School on St. Croix, changes were necessary to accommodate voters and poll workers. Voting centers for the 2022 primary election on Saturday, August 6 are as follows: the Charlotte Amalia High School Gymnasium, Tutu Park Mall, former Scotiabank location, and University of the Virgin Islands Sports and Fitness Center on St. Thomas, along with the Julia Sproul Elementary School cafeteria and Calabash Boom Community on St. John. On St. Croix, voters can go to the D.C. Canegata Recreation Center, St. Croix Central High School Gymnasium, and the Arthur A. Richards K-8 School Modular Cafeteria. Please note that all voters must comply with the voting center COVID-19 protocols. Masks or face coverings are mandatory, social distancing, and hand sanitizing before entry. Residents can call the elections offices at 773-1021, the St. Croix Elections Office, or 774-3107, the St. Thomas Elections Office, with any questions or concerns. Now, Here's something exciting. The VI Source will be partnering with VIA and our TV network to bring you 3 hours of primary night coverage. Along with the results, you will get an in-depth analysis from our primary night panel and a live feed from the elections offices on St. Thomas. Thanks to VIA and RTV for making this possible. Coverage begins at 7:30 p.m. on Saturday, August 6 and runs through 10:30 p.m. on VIA TV Channel 4, formerly TV2, The Source, social media, and our TV network on Amazon Fire TV, Android TV, and Roku, with simulating on WSTX. We can't wait for you to join us. Remember to look for the latest news online at the Virgin Islands Source, and while you're there, be sure to sign up for our daily newsletter. All the headlines in your inbox for free. It can't get better than that. Now, as we said, along with the news, we were excited to sit down this week with a team from the University of the Virgin Islands who shared more about some of the exciting developments they're making in the world of mangrove research. Let's take a look.
We're so excited to be here today on Consider the Source, the team from University of the Virgin Islands. Good morning, everyone, and I was hoping you guys could introduce yourselves and tell us a little bit about what you do.
Yes, good morning. Hi, my name is Kayla Halliday, and I'm a grad student here at UVI, and I work in the Kristen Wilson Grimes Lab on mangrove restoration.
I'm Miranda Goad. I'm an undergraduate student in UVI, and I'm doing summer research as part of the Emerging Caribbean Science program, and I'm also working in the Grimes Lab this summer.
Hi, good morning. My name's Allie Durdall. I'm a watershed and marine research specialist here at the University of the Virgin Islands. I work in Kristen Wilson Grimes Lab, and I help to manage the mangrove nursery here at the Marine Science Center.
Hi, I'm Allison Hoybo. I'm a second-year master's student, also here at UVI, also in the Kristen Wilson Grimes Lab. I help out with nursery maintenance and am currently running my thesis project.
Wonderful. That sounds so exciting. So tell us a little bit about what you're doing over there in the Grimes Lab over at UVI.
Yeah, of course. So we are all here as a part of a new project that we're calling Grow USVI Mangroves, which is growing research, restoration, outreach, and education of mangroves here in the territory. And it's a relatively new project. We are just over 1 year old, and we're supported very broadly by a lot of partnerships. So we have funding from the National Science Foundation, from NOAA, from the National Park Service, from Vitima. And our main goals are to restore mangroves here in the territory, but also involve the community in that process.
So as part of restoring the ecosystems, one of the things we do is it's sort of threefold, if you will, and I'm sure there are other folds that the team will mention. But the first thing we've done is establish long-term monitoring plats throughout the territory on all 3 islands of St. Thomas, St. John, and St. Croix. And that is because nobody really knows what's going on in these mangrove habitats across the territory now or through time. So we've established plats there to kind of track those changes. And that work is also in conjunction with developing a rapid assessment index. And basically what that index is going to tell us is where restoration is feasible and needed.
Yes, the mangroves took a pretty hard hit from the hurricanes in 2017, but they've also been threatened kind of across time here in the Virgin Islands because they're located in these really valuable coastal areas where so many people want to build and develop. So they're starting to get squeezed out. And so our goal is to check in on the mangroves that are already out there, see how they're doing. And where they're not doing very well and they need some help, we're growing a lot of trees so that we can outplant them in those places.
And one of the main benefits of us growing these plants and then seeing where restoration is most needed is that we're actually rebuilding ecosystems that benefit the community in various ways, such as like providing nursery for juvenile fish and helping the fish populations, like all those yummy fish we like to eat. It helps with water quality and sediment from the land washing into the ocean. It also helps with storm surge and protects us from storm surge. And it helps stop the land from eroding during those times of like high surge.
Wow. So I have so many questions. So let's talk about, you said after the hurricanes, the mangroves within the territory were super impacted. What does that mean? Like, where did we see the impact negatively within our community?
Yes, so in terms of the mangrove forests themselves, the impact was it was varied across the different sites. So some sites saw more damage than others, but all sites were stressed out from the storms. So that meant that the vegetation from most of the trees was ripped away. Some trees were physically battered to the point where they didn't come back after the storms. Busy parking lot. So some trees were battered in a way that they didn't come back and recover after the storms. And depending upon the type of site that you're at, that could mean that the trees might not come back naturally at all, because mangroves depend on seed dispersal as a way to spread. They produce propagules, which are kind of like baby plants themselves. But if you're at a mangrove location like a salt pond or an area that's further inland, if all of the adult trees at that site die, there's no new baby plants coming in. And so at sites like that, we go in, we check to see how the adult trees are doing, and we might weight that site differently in terms of our priority to restore.
And how did that impact the territory? What did we see as a result of these impacts to our mangroves?
So when mangroves are damaged and wetlands are damaged, and if we get really hard rains and things like we do, all of that sediment, instead of being held in by all of the special roots and all of the adaptations that these mangroves have, which are wonderful, all of that sediment goes straight into the ocean, and it really messes up our water quality. It puts all kinds of different minerals and chemicals that are in the sediment in the water, and we swim with that. So that's one of the big things that we saw after the storm was in ocean or coastal areas where mangroves were damaged. You saw a lot of outflow of like dirty dirt water.
Another thing that Kayla mentioned earlier, one benefit of mangroves is that they kind of act as like a frontline defense when a storm is coming and there's a lot of storm surge and wave action. And that happened in a lot of the sites where we have mangroves. It worked effectively. You know, they took kind of the first hit, protecting the communities that sit behind them up on land. But if those sites don't recover naturally before the next big storm happens, they can't act as that frontline defense again. So we want to get in there and make sure that we can restore those sites so they can continue to be shoreline defenders for U.S. Virgin Islanders.
And then, go ahead. And we're trying to work as fast as possible because these plants, I mean, although they're great and amazing, they do grow somewhat slowly. So we're trying to like jump on it and get ahead of the game.
And I was just going to mention another. Oh, go ahead.
No, that's what I was going to ask too. How long does it happen overnight? It can't possibly, right? Like how long does it take to restore like a section of mangroves, and what goes into your work every day?
So it's a long-term process. It definitely takes time to do that restoration. The trees grow at different rates depending upon the species, and we're still growing and learning ourselves about the best way to do these restoration efforts. So there have been some mangrove restoration efforts in the territory over the last couple decades, but they've been pretty limited. And there's not a whole lot documented about the best way to do this type of work. So a big part of what we're doing right now is a lot of research so that we can keep track of what we've been trying, what works, what hasn't worked, and then we can adapt going forward. But we do have some examples of trees behind us that we can show you. So there's 3 different species of mangroves here in the U.S. Virgin Islands, red mangroves, white mangroves, and black mangroves. And we're trying to grow all 3 because they all need to be restored in different sites and at different capacities. This tree right here, we call this the mama tree. It's the oldest tree in our nursery. This is a red mangrove that was planted
June 16th.
Wow, specific. Yeah. June 16th of 2021. So it is just over 1 year old, and you can see, I mean, it's not small, but it's still got a ways to go. And we have some other trees behind us here too. This is an example of a white mangrove tree. So they all look a little bit different. They grow at different rates and in different ways. And we've been playing around in our nursery with different techniques for growing the trees to see if we can try to maximize the amount of space that we have to work with, but also the efficiency of the plants themselves. So we can grow more, faster, and better. And then I'll just show you, this is the last species that we have here. This is the black mangrove. And we're constantly taking in new plants in the nursery and cycling through. Right now we have a pretty good crop of trees that are getting close to being ready to outplant. So one of our priorities now is to kind of dig through that monitoring data that Allison mentioned so that we can work to prioritize which sites to bring these trees to.
And to add on to that, with all of these like upcoming outplanting projects that we have and all these things that we have and tasks that we have to do in the nursery to grow all of these plants so that we can outplant them, we want to like invite people if they want to come and volunteer their time, or if they want to just lend a hand or learn kind of like in a hands-on way. They're more than welcome to contact. We'll leave contact information with you at the end of this, but they're more than welcome. We'd be happy to have you guys out. And also the container experiment, but someone else can explain that.
Sure,
Yeah. So
yeah.
We've been doing a couple of different experiments in the nursery. So one that Kayla just mentioned was a container experiment. So there's lots of different containers you can grow plants in. This is a container, and there's trade-offs to these. There's less space for the tree, but we can fit a lot more of these in our nursery space compared to these things, which are tree pots. They take up a little bit more room. And then the biggest of all, the bio bags, like this one right here. And so we've been doing experiments to see how plants grow comparatively within each of those different types of containers. But there's lots of other experiment work that's going on. An example of that is Allison's thesis that we're in the middle of.
Which is really cool because that also, I'll let her explain it, but I'm really excited about her experiment.
Thanks. So my experiment is testing to see if we can grow mangroves in crushed glass instead of in regular potting soil. So as an island community, as you know, we face a few challenges. One of those is shipping costs, shipping times, money to do those things. And so if we can incorporate any amount of sustainability here with our restoration project, that would be super great, especially since the U.S. Virgin Islands doesn't have commercial recycling facilities. So we crushed a bunch of glass bottles we got from different restaurants, used glass bottles, and are currently growing mangroves.
And they're doing pretty well.
Yeah, they're doing really well.
Yeah.
It's been so fun to watch them grow.
I know.
Wow, I love that you guys are setting the trends. And I love that you are, you said that there's not a lot of research out there. So you're pioneering as well. That's really awesome. So how long is your project? How long is your work? And at the end of it, like, what's your ultimate goal?
Well, everyone's project is structured a little bit differently and the timeline is a little bit different. But as far as the main work that we're doing here in the nursery and in the territory, that will be hopefully ongoing forever and ever and ever. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely dependent upon funding and personnel.
Yeah.
But the problems that we're facing with mangroves in the territory right now are likely to be problems forever. Because of climate change, storm frequency and intensity is ramping up, which means that these systems that were already under threat from long-term stressors here in the territory, like drought or displacement from new buildings or just like other habitats, those things are compounding. So these are problems that are going to stick around for mangroves, which means that hopefully we will be here to stay in the long term to keep supporting these systems so that they can keep supporting the community.
Wow. And if people want to get involved, like you were saying, how can they?
Yeah, so we have lots of ways that people can get involved in the mangrove. We have lots of trees, and they all need to be babied a little bit because we want to keep them happy and alive and growing quickly. So we have opportunities for people, if you're interested, to come in and volunteer at the nursery, helping us plant trees or monitoring plants. Or if you just want to come in and take a tour and see what it is that we have going on here down at the university, we are more than happy to support that. We also have some plans to do some community listening sessions this fall. So it is our hope that once we start doing more active mangrove restoration, bringing these plants out into the field and planting them, that we'll have community members coming out to support us in that, because it takes a lot of effort to get all these into the ground, and also to make sure in the long term that they're doing okay, because we don't want to just be sticking plants out there and then leaving them and
not knowing
yeah,
what happened.
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah, we want to look at the long-term outcomes. We want long-term success. And so we're hosting community listening sessions this fall. We're still kind of in the works for how those are going to go, but we are going to invite the general community and stakeholder partners to come to those to give us their input on where they see the priorities, but also to share out what our initial plans are for this restoration. And we're also hoping to kind of extend our mangrove work into the classroom. So we're hoping to bring some mangroves into classrooms in high schools, at least starting on St. Thomas here this fall. And hopefully we can extend that going forward.
Yeah, and another great way, we started a Instagram account. So we have, and Facebook, I think. We have some social media going on, and you guys can follow along. Allison actually spearheaded the whole thing, and she's been doing an amazing job.
It's a team effort. It's team effort.
But Allison's been doing most of the work. So it's called Grow. I don't know if you can see our name, like if they can see our name, but it's grow.usvi, right? Grow.mangroves. So that's our name on Instagram. So you guys can just like look us up and give us a follow. And follow our journey along here in the nursery.
You can reach out to us.
Or you can reach out.
Instagram
yes.
too. If you're interested in doing different things,
you can send us a message.
Yes, yeah. We have a decent number of plants in the nursery right now that were planted from different groups that have come through to help volunteer. Okay. Yeah. So there's lots of places and ways to get involved.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much, guys. You're doing such amazing work. We're out of time now, so I would thank you. I would encourage the public to take seriously the commitment of this group and join them to help restore these mangroves in our community. Ladies, is there anything else you'd like to close out with?
I think that we would just love to see new faces in the nursery and to have new helping hands. And we want to spread our knowledge and our love of mangroves to the community and to everyone so that they are motivated to want to help.
Awesome.
I just want to add one other thing that we didn't get a chance to highlight too, which is that in addition to the benefit that we're hoping to provide the community by rebuilding mangroves as an important ecosystem, we also provide, as part of our Grow USVI Mangroves mission, important training opportunities for students here in the territory through their work with our nursery and the various research that we're doing here. So we start that as early as exposure with high school students who come and volunteer. There are undergrads and there are graduate students like the ones on the call here. And I just wanted to give Miranda a chance to say something about that, because she's one of our amazing undergraduate interns right now. And I think, she's getting experience in a lot of different places in the nursery, but I wanted to give her a chance to share maybe some of the skills she's learning through her work.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, I've only been here for the summer, and my project has only been about 6 weeks long compared to some of the more long-term projects we have going on here. But I've learned so much in that time period and growing my skill set for my dream to be a researcher in the future, that it gives me real practical on-the-field experience of what it means to be a scientist and to have a passion for science.
I love it.
And Miranda and I are also locals. We're both born and raised here. I did my undergrad here as well, same as Miranda. I also went to high school, but and then now I'm going on to my graduate degree, and I hope that we see Miranda here next.
What a great message. We definitely need people. I mean, you hear it all the time. Everybody's leaving, but look, we don't have everybody leaving, and you're contributing to such great things in the community. Thank you guys so much for your work.
Thank you for having us.
All right. All right, and thank you to our viewing audience for joining us on Consider the Source, and we'll see you here again next Sunday.
Thank you. Bye. Happy mangroving.
Thank you for joining us this Sunday. We can't wait for you to catch up with us here next week. Until then, stay safe and stay informed. The Source is online all the time. Keep visiting our sites for around-the-clock community coverage and tune in on social for updates at the top of each hour. I'm Adisha Penn. Until next time.